Hello everybody and welcome to this interview of Gaëtan Beaujannot, one of the two authors of Concept. So, Gaëtan, for those who aren't familiar with you, please can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You've been working as board game designer for many years. Can you list some of the games you have made in this time?
Hello everybody, I'm Gaëtan Beaujannot. I'm the co-author. I'm more a co-author. I'm not an author. Indeed, I only create games with other authors. I'm not really interested by creating alone in my corner. Then I made different games. I made then Concept, and after the kids version of this one with Alain. But before that, I made Gears of Cat Ballon with Charles Chevalier. It was with Cool Mini in 2013, if I remember. It was one of the first guys Kickstarter from Simon. After that, I've done Flick 'em Up with Jean-Yves Montpertuis, the first game from Pretzel Games, 2 years after. But I spend most of my time for developing games with Forge Next. My work as a board game designer is not the majority of my time.
Okay, talking about Forge Next, can you tell us a bit more about it?
Then Forge Next is a French board game agency, the first one. We will celebrate the 10th anniversary next year. We accompany the author from the finalization of their games to the publishing. We help them for finding the best publisher for their creation. After that, we help the publisher to find games that best suit their publishing and tomorrow's future hits, if I can say like that. For the moment, we have nearly 80 games published or in the process of being publishing. And we have won many awards, including Game of the Year this year with Oriflamme and Game of the Year for Children last year with, forget the name, Mr. Wolf with Orange. And you have great success with this company.
That's cool, congratulations. How did you start working on Concept with Alain Rivollet? How did you get the idea of Concept?
As a good game designer, a French game designer, I've got the idea during an aperitif with Robert Fire, among others. Then it's very important for us to take drink and think about new games. During this aperitif, we were talking about communication game. I wanted to make a game where nobody spoke the same language. To make a game inspired by the film Close Encounters, the Spielberg Games film in the 80s, beginning in the 80s. The idea was there. So a second, more personal problem that I had to be solved. I don't define myself as an author, as I said just before. I'm more a co-game designer or co-author. Then in creation, I'm essentially nourished by the exchange with the others. Okay. The development alone is not my cup of tea. That is why, in my opinion, the development of our game is only interesting if we do it in a team. Finally, we can say that the development is like a game, in a board game. The value of sharing, far from any personal objective, is far more a fundamental notion for that. So I had to find my half, if I can say this, to work on this game. I'm someone who works on the game experience. That's my hobby. So I needed someone with a cold Cartesian and structured mind, and someone who was sufficiently crossed out to think out of the box, to take on a project of this size. And it's why I immediately thought about Alain Rivollet. It's an incredible, playful mechanic guy.
Okay. So, really special game with a really special person. And yeah. How is it to develop this time of special game? Do you have to playtest it way more than any other game, or is it like more similar than any other game?
In fact, for the first step, Alain set the first frame of the game.
Okay.
I just give him the first idea that I wish to have something that we can't speak together. We are just to imagine something like the sounds as in Close Encounters or pictures. With that, I put the first frame of the game just to put on the table the first icon. To make the icon, we inspired ourselves with language and graphic representation. It was very scientific part to create this game. It was not very usual. We think about the language, how to create that. We didn't think about to create a game, but to create a new language, in fact.
Okay.
We then had to multiply to test parts to define as many icons as possible. We wanted to limit them as much as possible. So we multiply the test in a very empirical way, just to reduce and to find the good one.
Okay, so a long time work. And we know that we have a kids version now. How did you come up with this idea? Is it you or Alain who came up with this idea of creating a kids version of Concept?
Alain is most famous in France or in Germany to be a kids game author. That it was very natural for him to think to a kids version. And we have a lot of requests from retailers in France to create one. Then just one after the first version, we started to think about it.
How did you do to get a kids version from an adult game?
It's very difficult question.
Sorry.
First of all, I think you have to be in the same spirit that the original games, and have the same experience. That we have to live the same experience around the table, and the same experience at the adult version. That it's not very easy for that. That I think the answer is specific to almost every game. Here, the number of icons had to be drastically reduced. In the adult version, we have more than 100 icons. Then it's too many. This means that reducing the range of terms to be made to become. So we choose a theme to reduce the possibility, and we chose with the reproduction the theme of animals. For the kids, it's very natural. And from them, we adapted the icons of the game. In the development phase, the big change compared to the adult version is that we played the game a lot in Belgium, in different schools that follow different learning modes. And the game had to work in all the situations and for everyone. And that just for the adult version, we play test with everyone around us. In this case, the works with the schools was very, very important.
Okay, so is it how Repos helped you, or did they do something else too to help you develop this game?
All the works with the school has been done by reproduction. They were the one who approached the school and conducted the tests.
Okay.
We have regular feedback from them to make briefing about the decision to be made. Which kind of animals, which kind of a style of icon, and was one thing very, very important. It's the game's illustrator and graphic designer is also in a house in a Europa production. That we have all the team in the same place, and this made it possible to be super reactive and to repeat the playtest session in a very short space of time. That for that. It was big works by Europa Production. Indeed, the graphics of the icon are essential in this type of games, and we have already seen it with the adult version.
Okay. You also have a recharge. What's new? Why creating this type of stuff?
For everyone who has played the game and knows all the cards. Well, we thought that it was possible to do it as the first kids version, by the way, So, as we like to be right, we did it. It was not very, very easy to make 110 new cards. It used up 3 project managers from Propo Production and 2 authors. But we were more attentive for this one to the level of difficulty of the words and expression. More attentive than the first version of the game. The cultural side was taken into account in this evaluation. We also avoided having all the people from Game of Thrones, for example, that we have to select more information about the pop culture.
Okay.
Then we were able to benefit from the feedback from the back version. So what's new? I can say Game of Thrones. We have a lot of people on that. Seriously, more pop culture references and 110 new cards and 199 new clues, if you can select this.
Cool. Let's talk a bit about you. How did you get into game design?
Well, it's odd. I started 13 years ago. I manage a website, Vassalforge, the French community of Vassal. It's a virtual table game that the world has discovered again during the lockdown at the beginning of the year. I built some prototype on this platform, like Room 25. It was published after by Matago. It's a game by Rosé, and I did a lot of test session online. It was the beginning of my new playtest, and now I discovered the game design works. We have done a lot of online tests, and I think we were 13 years ahead of schedule just about the playtest online.
Did you always want to be a game designer? Talk us through your day-to-day as a game designer in your author agent work.
As I said, I'm not a game designer. I became a co-game designer, a co-author, by force of circumstances, as I said, with Vassal. It has never been a desire. I have more the pleasure in finding new treasure and future hits. I prefer to do that. I helping authors to achieve their dreams, you can say like this. It's much more fulfilling. The work of an agent is very rich and requires a great deal of versatility. Developing games, dealing with publisher, monitoring project in progress, presenting games to publisher, debriefing, publisher return, a lot of things. To ensure that the publisher does its jobs on communication, marketing. I don't have a typical day, if you can say like that. I have to adapt constantly, but also the fun it's in this type of roles.
For you, what's the difference between a co-game designer and an author agent work? Because in both of the cases, you work with the author and you try to develop the game, right?
Right. For a game designer, you have to find the first idea, to develop it, and to go to the publisher. A co-game designer, we think together around the table, we create a new game, like a game. And game agent, the work, it's more to find the good game, help the game designer to develop this, and to support him to go to the creation, to the publishing of the games. Okay. We are more in the relationship between the publisher and the game designer. Sometimes we are as a father for the game designer, just to be sure that he can do everything in a good manner and in the best situation.
Which one of the three do you prefer?
Clearly, agent.
Okay.
because I can do my job of co-creation and developing, and I work with a lot of people. When you are a game designer, you are more alone. You can have some friends for that, but for me, it's very important to work in team. Okay. That it's more funny.
I imagine that you playtest a lot in your work of agent. With who do you playtest your game?
In fact, for me, you have three test phases. Not an automatic data order, but you have to test in the game, is the game is fun to play and we play? Does the game corresponding well to its target, for the mass market or for the casual gamers or something like that? And is the game finished in terms of development? Does it have any bugs for that? It was not very easy to find a group tester. We are constantly seeking to expand our group of testers. Okay. The problems, it's more with the mass market. Being a beginner player, you can say like that, it's just only for a short time. Then to find playtester for mass market is very hard. We are looking for the public corresponding to the type of games that we are. It's very important in order to validate the level of difficulty. For that, we are created the partnership with school that, as we said, for kids, Revolution have some partnership in Belgium. Now we created this kind of partnership locally in France for our playtest. But with the COVID, it was very difficult. We test a lot with Tabletop AI, Tabletop Simulator, but it has certain limits, and we can test all the type of games. It's why I said it's permanent research. Regularly, we organize game designer weekends with everyone test the games from everyone, and it's always extremely productive and generate a lot of emulation, can say like that. It's very important for us to organize this kind of weekends.
Yeah.
At that time, we are more looking to crash the tests to see where it doesn't work and something like that.
Okay. If you could pick any game to have designed, which one would you pick?
Taduva.
Why?
Yeah. I love this one. It's my preferred. It's very simple. You create something on the table. But as I said before, I'm immersed in the experience. But for this one, it's just beautiful games, very clever, easy. Just another one for experience love letter.
Oh.
Very easy in the rules. It created a good experience around the table. And it was very clever when the game has been published for this kind of games. And the last one, more it's Secret Hitler. It's not for the game designer, but most for the experience. And I think you can know that.
Yeah. I remember a game. Why do board games change the world?
Do you really think that it's possible?
I hope so.
Personally, I don't think so. But apart the war games in the early of 20th century, and maybe more the serious game now, the game are made to have a good time together. And I think it's the good time just to be clever and to make a citation from Platon. You can know more about someone in 1 hour of playing than in 1 year of conversation. It's very classical, but it's true. It's more like this that we can change the elements. It reveals a lot about people just in their test of type of games, but it's never changed the world.
Thank you very much, Gaëtan, for your time and for this interview. If you want to learn more about concept and the universe of concepts, please follow us on Facebook and go on our website. Gaëtan, thank you and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.